Thanks, Steve. Well, summer is the busiest time for home buyers, but the housing market in Missouri is not looking promising as inventory numbers plummet. Realtors say a housing bill that is sitting on President Donald Trump's desk would help, but he's refusing to sign. Our Missouri Capitol reporter Hannah Falcon spoke with the Missourians who are affected by the housing shortage about how this bill, they say, could change things.
As President Trump refuses to sign the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, Missouri renters and hopeful home buyers are struggling to find affordable and available housing.
I've always dreamed of having my own house. And yeah, things don't look too promising right now.
Riley Guy spends her days helping Columbia renters solve their problems through the Columbia Tenants Union. She says this housing bill would help many renters' everyday issues.
That's kind of the American dream, is like work hard, do the right thing, and like things will work out for you. But that's not what we're seeing totally with all of these private equity and kind of faceless landlords buying up everything.
Yeah, it's actually becoming a much larger issue in Kansas City and St. Louis in the past couple of years.
Mid-Missouri Board of Realtors CEO Brian Toohey confirms what Guy is saying. Especially in big cities, private equity firms are swooping in and outbidding families looking to purchase a home. That's one of the things the 21st Century Road to Housing Act would address, as well as creating more rental voucher programs and streamlining some zoning laws to allow for more housing construction.
We'll just continue to see the market probably get tighter if the bill is vetoed.
Would you say, in your opinion, that this bill is needed for home buyers in Missouri?
Oh, it totally is, because our inventory numbers are so low.
Guy says Washington politicians need to listen to the everyday American.
Limiting private equity firms and building more affordable houses is like a great first step. And I think to continue, we could just involve more tenants in the conversation.
President Trump says he's holding out on signing the bill until a voter ID bill is sent to him. However, if he does not veto the housing bill, it will automatically go into effect in 10 days. Reporting in Jefferson City, I'm Hannah Falcon.